Ursula von der Leyen calls on EU countries to speed up defence spending to protect against threats.
France is training Ukrainian troops in Poland to hone the skills they will need on the battlefield back home as part of an EU mission.
Israel's military announced it would withdraw forces from the southern Gazan city of Khan Yunis. But top IDF military leaders said troops were preparing follow-up missions, with one military chief saying, "We are far from stopping." It comes as Sunday marked 6 months of conflict in the Israel-Hamas war.
החמאס הפסיק לתפקד כארגון צבאי ברחבי רצועת עזה. הכוחות יוצאים החוצה ונערכים למשימות ההמשך שלהם. ראינו דוגמאות למשימות כאלה בפעולה בשיפה, וגם למשימת ההמשך שלהם במרחב רפיח.
Israel has carried out airstrikes in areas where it says Hamas has resurfaced, including Al-Shifa in Khan Yunis. The World Health Organization said 2 weeks' worth of Israeli raids left Gaza's largest hospital an empty shell. Meanwhile, Germany will face The Hague on Monday over claims it facilitated acts of genocide and breaches of international law in the West Bank. It's backdropped by Israeli media reports claiming 332 aid trucks entered Gaza over the weekend.
The International Atomic Energy Agency has called for caution after a drone attack on the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power station in Ukraine. IAEA head Rafael Mariano Grossi condemned the allegedly Ukrainian strike on one nuclear reactor at the Russia-controlled plant. Kyiv has denied its involvement and instead claimed Moscow was behind the attack. Grossi said such attacks significantly increase the risk of a major nuclear accident. According to Russia, 3 people were injured in the attack. Damage at Unit 6 has not compromised nuclear safety, but the incident is serious and could damage the reactor's containment system, explained the IAEA. The Zaporizhzhia nuclear plant has been caught in the crossfire since the Russia invasion. However, for the first time, it suffered 3 direct hits.
This trench that Ukrainian soldiers are trying to reclaim is not on the front line. It's in Poland. And today the enemy is not Russian, but French. This is just one of the exercises the French military is running as part of the European Union's Military Assistance Mission Ukraine, also known as EUMAM. For about a month and a half, Ukrainian soldiers are put through their paces so they can return home with improved skills in tactical shooting, mortar firing, vehicle driving and upkeep, demining and drone piloting, among others.
Donc ici en Pologne, nous avons un détachement français qui est de l'ordre de 200 à 250 soldats et qui a pour mission de former des bataillons ukrainiens qui vont de 400 à 700 hommes à former. Et ça va du niveau individuel, le plus basique, avec des savoir-faire élémentaires tels que le tir, le sauvetage au combat, jusqu'au niveau de la compagnie. Je pense en particulier à la manœuvre, à la réflexion tactique et à la conception des ordres.
So far, the French have trained over 10,000 Ukrainian soldiers in either Poland or on French soil, out of a total of 46,000 trained through EUMAM by the 24 EU member states taking part. But the trainers also learn from the Ukrainian troops.
Ce que nous apprenons d'abord de la part des Ukrainiens, c'est surtout nous apprenons à nous adapter. Parce que le point clé de notre mission ici, c'est avant tout de répondre aux besoins que formulent les Ukrainiens. Puis après, bien sûr, en fonction de l'expérience de ces soldats ukrainiens, nous adaptons nos modes d'action, que ce soit par exemple sur le combat des tranchées, que ce soit sur la lutte contre les drones ou sur des techniques de piégeage auxquelles les soldats ukrainiens font face.
Euronews was not able to speak to any of the Ukrainian soldiers during the training day we observed last month, but in an emailed statement, the Ukrainian Defense Ministry said it is very important to continue the training of Ukrainian military personnel within the framework of this mission. This enables Ukrainian defenders to master modern weapons and equipment to effectively repel Russian aggression. The day culminated in a training village where the Ukrainians were tasked with securing a street with booby traps and enemy soldiers lying in ambush. Several mistakes were made and some were quickly tagged as wounded. But they get a passing grade this time. No time to rest, though, as they will soon be back on a real front line.
Exit polls for Poland's local elections show the former ruling Nationalist Conservative Party won a slightly larger vote share than current government Donald Tusk's Civic Coalition. The elections are a gauge of the political mood ahead of Europe elections in June.
Głosuję zawsze na tych, którzy tę naszą przynależność do Europy akceptują. Dla mnie to jest jedno i drugie jest związane i oczywiste.
Czuję się też jako Polka i obywatelka Unii Europejskiej.
Some voters used Poland's local elections to voice their Euroscepticism.
Wysłałem sygnał, taki ostrzegawczy sygnał, że stop. Po prostu my jesteśmy w Unii Europejskiej, ale pamiętajcie, że Brexit się wydarzy.
According to a Euronews Ipsos poll, Europe's right wing is gaining strength and popularity. This is a change that could be exemplified in Poland, though the European campaign has not yet started.
Najważniejsze jest, aby jak najszybciej rozpocząć kampanię do tych wyborów, kampanię przede wszystkim informacyjną, pokazującą, co tak naprawdę zależy od Polski w Europie i co tak naprawdę już mamy dzięki naszemu członkostwu w Europie. Myślę, że Polki i Polacy zapominają bardzo o takich podstawowych kwestiach związanych właśnie z jakością demokracji. To właśnie dzięki naciskom instytucji unijnych nie pogodzono się z niszczeniem praworządności w Polsce.
After the record turnout in October 23 elections, it seems that the motivation has subsided and it will be a challenge to mobilize Poles to participate in the upcoming EU elections. Magdalena Hodownik for Euronews from Warsaw.
EU Commission President Ursula von der Leyen has called for a common European defence to protect against what she calls internal and external threats.
We need to step up European defence spending collectively. But just as war is not a thing of the past in Europe, defence cooperation must be the mark of the future in Europe.
Η παρουσία των ηγετικών στελεχών του Ευρωπαϊκού Λαϊκού Κόμματος στο συνέδριο της Νέας Δημοκρατίας κάθε άλλο παρά συγκυριακή είναι. Ο Έλληνας Πρωθυπουργός Κυριάκος Μητσοτάκης προβάλλεται ως ένας από τους πιο επιτυχημένους πρωθυπουργούς των πολιτικών δυνάμεων που ανήκουν στο Ευρωπαϊκό Λαϊκό Κόμμα και ως παράδειγμα για το πώς μπορούν να νικηθούν οι δυνάμεις του λαϊκισμού.
Speaking at ruling party New Democracy's conference in Athens, von der Leyen acknowledged Greece's role in NATO and its support for Ukraine. She credited the government for Greece's economic recovery.
Firefighters on the Greek island of Crete rushed to extinguish a blaze over the weekend while at least 70 other fires erupted across the country, 1 month before the official start of the fire season. The wildfire in Crete forced dozens to leave their homes in the eastern city of Mavros Kolimbos in Lasithi. It was brought under control on Sunday with officers from the fire brigade and the Arson Crimes Directorate arresting a suspected arsonist later that afternoon.
10 regions of Kazakhstan have declared a state of emergency after the worst floods in 80 years hit the entire northwest of the country. The flooding was sparked by overly warm weather that caused a mass snowmelt across parts of Kazakhstan and Russia. Kazakh President Kassym-Jomart Tokayev called the floods the worst in 80 years. More than 72,000 people have been evacuated. In the Russian city of Orsk, which borders Kazakhstan, a state of federal emergency has been declared. Authorities reported water levels are still rising after a dam was breached on Friday, flooding most of the city. Evacuation efforts are underway in the Orenburg region, where several thousand towns and rural buildings are flooded.
In the heart of the Haute-Savoie in the French Alps, President Emmanuel Macron paid tribute to the heroes of World War II resistance. They were killed or captured by Nazi forces in this area in the spring of 1944. And it's been 80 years since 44 Jewish children were killed after Nazis raided an orphanage in a village in the southeast of France. Macron will lead a number of D-Day events commemorating the end of World War II.
Austrian glaciers will be gone in 45 years. The Austrian Alpine Club warned on Friday. Its latest glacier measurement report details of the rapid shrinking of 93 glaciers in Austria in the last couple of years.
Da ist es in ein paar Jahrzehnten eigentlich vorbei mit den österreichischen Gletschern. Da bleibt vielleicht noch in kleinen Bereichen schattige Lagen, vielleicht Glockner, Nordostseiten, Bereiche im Ötztal bleiben noch zurück. Aber de facto in, sagen wir mal, 40 Jahren, 45 Jahren wird es wahrscheinlich ziemlich eisfrei sein in ganz Österreich.
Die Gletscher Österreichs kann man damit nicht mehr retten, denn die Systeme sind zu träge. Das heißt, das Verschwinden der österreichischen Gletscher in den nächsten Jahrzehnten ist nicht mehr aufzuhalten. Da müssten jetzt schon positive Massenbilanzen und erste Schneereserven in den Hochlagen der Gletscher sich zu bilden beginnen, damit die Gletscher in den nächsten Jahrzehnten wieder sich stabilisieren oder gar vorstoßen könnten. Die Systeme brauchen Jahrzehnte und die Zeit ist vorbei. Das heißt, hier geht nichts mehr.
Glaciers are masses of ice that form a snow and ice compact over centuries and then flow slowly over land. Their melting is one of the most notable indications of human-caused climate change, with glaciers around the world rapidly retreating.